Hello guys, today we'll be finishing the second half of Can You Survive on the Islands of Concordia, and the other half of the islands. So the first part of the series. So the first part of the series we covered Sipsay Island and the first 7 islands. However, we now have connected the rest of the islands, which is Bulfus Island, Heathreys Island, Scorching Island, Supergrade Island, Cyphers Island, Arthurhampton Island, and Conductor Island. So the first island we'll be doing is Bulbfish Island. So Bulbfish Island we'll be doing Mario and Luigi starts on the beach. So there is a bunch of water here, but it's salt water. We have to find fresh water, unfortunately. Fortunately, this is a whole town as well. Okay, assuming there's no gromed residents as well here and stuff. However, there is fresh water here. So we're already off to a pretty good start as well. Also, considering the fact that this is considered called Bulbfish Island, when before the whole ball, unless we're going during the Bulbfish crisis before Minority come, that those of you actually be enough Bulbfish to surprise you and the Concordians for life. Therefore, food and water is met. You can likely live indefinitely on this island as well. Heck, there's even a Bulbfish restaurant as well that you could probably work at as well if you really want to. So this is, I think, a pretty livable place as well. So, yeah. I think I'm giving Bulbfish Island a 5 out of 5 for livability. The next island doesn't look that promising. It's Heathreys Island. So Heathreys Island is, of course... So we'll be starting out with exactly where Mario starts off as well. And of course, you will not be connected to any other islands, or also defeat the whole purpose of this video, because if all the islands are connected, then you can go to, let's say, a different island to get food, or, as well. But this is already not a pretty, promising start. It's probably burning hot here, considering it's molten lava. So it's probably staying in a volcano, basically, as well. However, the only glimmer of hope is that there is actual civilizations here. However, these civilizations are adapted to the cold temperatures and hot temperatures. I think that basically you'll either die of heat stroke or you'll probably freeze to death as well, as the people here are adapted to these cold temperatures. Us, as a normal person, with just normal clothes, normal shorts, normal socks, dressed for your average, summer day, well, 70 degrees. This area probably frequents 200 degrees, which means we're not surviving here as well. Okay. And the ice area is regularly below freezing. However, there is this kind of safe area in the middle as well here, but it's not looking too great. There is water here, but it's super cold as well. Assuming you do somehow manage to survive, and there is food, including stew, that the islanders cook. However, the stew and the ice cream are meant for the people of the island. And when Mario and Luigi eat the stew, their mouths will go on fire. Which means, Mario and Luigi, of course, have higher durability than your average person, obviously, but we as a normal person will not be able to survive this stuff. Of course, there's a vendor that also sells super mushrooms here. So, but however, the mushrooms are 10 coins as well. So, you'll have to somehow get 10 coins to buy these mushrooms as well. Which, again, the only problem is you still have to find fresh water, and there is snow, which theoretically you can take the snow towards Heathreys Island and turn it into water and eat it. I'm assuming that the snow regularly regenerates considering how this island works, but food, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. You do have this vendor here, but you have to get money. Shelter, well, there is, homes, but they'll be scorching hot, so 2 out of 10. And water, well, there is water, so this is probably the best one as well for you. So, I think you'll probably die either before you have dehydration. It's just two extreme temperatures. You'll probably either die of heat stroke or of hypothermia as well. Or, if we're really realistic, you'll probably instantly die in like the first 5 seconds you arrive here. Margarita, of course, are used to high temperatures, but not us normal Joes. Next island we have is Scorching Island. So, Scorching Island. If we're gonna probably say more like a Heat Freeze Island, yeah, you ain't surviving here, okay? There is, of course, this probably less cool area by the ocean. However, that you can probably survive there. There's also some dead trees you can use as well here. So actually, this area by the ocean is actually kind of survivable as well. Just don't go near the water as well. So shelter is gonna be the hardest thing to do. There's a few dead trees. There's a few trees at the end of the island as well. Here. But what in the way of food? Well, there is the hot potato stew. However, we already explained why you can't eat that as well here. However, there is a shop here that also sells mushrooms as well here. This is, of course, kind of cheating as well, but I'm assuming they also sell other food, but you have to actually have money, and we are not coming in with any money. So, of course, the best thing we could do is while the shop owners are away, we can steal the mushrooms and eat them as well. Considering this is an island, there is, unless you still gonna need to find a, shelter in case those snappers show up. So you're probably gonna build a small little hut made of sticks and leaves. It's the best you can do, but this island is actually surprisingly survivable. Not a very glamorous living, as you'll mostly be confined to the coastal areas, to basically this little line of coast, but it is technically survivable for an all human if you survive here. Also, there is fish in the ocean, so you can also create a fishing rod using probably some insects from these trees. And considering the fact trees can survive over here, I'm sure that you can survive here as well, over this little area at the edge of the island as well here. So yeah, next island. So next is Swipengadi Island. Yeah, we'll see. So Swipengadi Island, you start off in a cold area as well. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to find shelter right away because, well, it's an island completely covered in snow and probably constantly below freezing as well here as well. So let's see. Fortunately for us, there are igloos you can go in, which do provide some sort of shelter, but the problem is this might be some residents' home as well. You could basically be bumming it here. For water, well, there's snow everywhere. Also, constantly is snowing as well here, so water isn't out of the way. But what about food? So food is a tough one, as you can't really eat the Concordians, though. They may have a different material than us. I don't think Concordians provide much protein as well. Okay. Considering they're literally made of wires, bolts and metal. However, I don't think it gets offensive through here because the island isn't connected, so those flowers will not be there. So is there any area you can really go to find food? Yeah. No, you can't go this way. As well, because the flowers are closed when you arrive on the island. So basically, this little stretch of the island is all you're gonna really have. Unless you want to swim across the frozen water like a daredevil as well here. You're not Mario and Luigi, you can't really, do all the tricks they do. Like, there is no way you gain, if you can somehow get past this, if you're good, if you know how to do this type of stuff. if you're athletic, of course, an unathletic person like me, there's no way I'm getting past here, and no way I'm swimming in that, water here, here, here. However, even like here, like, let's say you somehow make it over here. However, it's gonna be the same way back. Yeah, and yeah, I don't think you're uh yeah, you're not, you're gonna probably die of food as well, unless you get like some fish from the frozen water. You're not really surviving here. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here. And yes, you could say, but you could swim across water, but even Mario even has a spaz going into this water. However, before we leave the island, is it possible we can access the ocean as well? Because, the other island is us finding we can access the ocean. Well, you can, but it's a very long fall compared to the other island. So, yeah, you ain't really surviving here. And then we have the island that started it all, the Conductor Island, as well. So this is the first island Mario lands on, so we'll be basically doing that as well. Not before, Mario clears out all the rocks and stuff as well. So can you survive on Conductor Island? Well, there are some crabs here. I don't know how many there are, but there's a few crabs here. I'm assuming there is a self-sustained population considering they're right at the coast here. And there's probably tons of more crabs in here. And even then, there's still fish in here as well. But food, I think, is pretty much covered as well. And also, there are some animals here. There are some plant things here as well here. So you have all of your nutrients you can, ever hope for as well here. And here's the question. Is there any fresh water? As well, because of course, fresh water is, what we need. We don't eat salt, we don't drink salt water. As well, okay, we don't, drink salt water. There's also a few birds as well. And it seems that this little beach area here, can provide us for all the food we need. Now we need to find shelter and fresh water as well here. And yes, considering that Mario Luigi can also jump through this little gap as well here, I'm assuming that you can make it too, considering that Mario is 5'2" as well, and Mario can easily go through this. Most people with a much, better, more athletic physique could probably be able to get across this little gap here. I'm failing. And is there anything over here? Is there any fresh water? Anything? And I think this little path here is kind of blocked because of all the rocks here. There's a bunch of rocks here, so we can't really go here. I know Mario Luigi cleared them, but we'll sign as the island was here. However, you can go up here, and there's some more plant things for you to consume as well. Trees you can use for shelter as well, and considering the fact that the island may receive rainfall every once in a while, you could get rain as well here. As well, you can use the sticks and the leaves and stuff to create a desalinator as well to get water. It's not the most glamorous life, but it is livable, and it's actually kind of a peaceful location as well. I would say this area is honestly a pretty good place to live. This little area right here, because there's tons of trees. You can create a little shelter from the trees as well here, and yeah. Overall, I think it is possible to live on Conductor Island. Yeah, there are two other islands left, and that is Arphanton Island. Arphanton Island is, of course, the area where Bowser's minions are. Let's just assume that Bowser's minions are just there either way, as basically the stage is just how it is. Basically. Yeah, so the Koopas and Goombas will be here. So you have a bunch of dead trees you can use to create sticks and shelter. There's of course if you're really desperate enough, if you can go down here and use a little trap to get fish. And so I'm assuming that crabs and other types of animals also come to the store as well here. Yeah, so food may already be covered as well, considering the fact that there are confirmed to be fish in the ocean, and also little crabs on other islands and fish. So, yeah. But however, if that isn't considering that we don't see any crabs, because it's nighttime, it's always nighttime here as well, there are these things that are very, very dangerous as well. Okay, yeah. And I don't think a normal person can fight these, okay? I know Mario and Luigi can, but Mario and Luigi are very Herculean strength. There's also Goombas here too, as well. However, if you manage to make it past this thing as well, like sneak past it, there's a Goomba here. A Goomba can provide you with a good meal as well. And considering the fact that Goombas here are infinitely respawning as well here, yeah. Yeah, that the Goombas actually provide a decent source, considering the fact that they appear in a bunch of numbers as well here. And these wild Goombas and Koopas as well are pretty decent sources of food. There's also these fountains here, which, yes, at the start are not frozen, so there's fresh water handled as well. So, yeah, basically I wanted to get some items up here and you had to freeze the water here. What about Sota? Well, this is a ruins area as well here. However, you're not Mario and Luigi, so you're not going to need disguises to enter the plaza. Yes, as well. Also, considering the fact that Mario and Luigi probably don't even exist. However, you're a normal person. You're not Mario and Luigi. And all of these Koopas and Goombas can provide you with companionship and shelter. So this is actually a pretty decent place to live. As well, considering the fact that these people live here just fine. As well. And then of course we have one last island to cover before we get to the final half of the game. The final parts of the game as well here. And that is of course the last island you'll encounter in the game. I'm gonna tell you straight up here, for the saga, you're not surviving now. They're gonna throw you into prison and you're gonna... Same thing with the very last, lighthouse. It's literally infested with Socket troops as well, so... You're probably just being thrown in jail by Socket and probably by being, hit by Guam probably as well, okay? But Jellyfish Island seems to be a pretty livable place. You have starfish here you can eat. I don't know. I think starfish are nutrition, but you also have crabs here. So the starfish isn't really a problem if there's crabs here as well here. And freshwater, well, fortunately for us, here, there is a whole place. However, you need to have a ticket to enter. As well, but you can go up here as well here. So food is already covered, but shelter and water may seem good on this island. They may seem good. However, unfortunately, you don't arrive with a pass into the Jellyfish Plaza. So yeah, consider the fact that you really need a pass to go in here. Because here there's shelter, there's food and water. However, you need to get a pass to enter here. Unless you can somehow sneak around this Concordia and go in, well, or somehow steal a pass from someone else, assuming you do, well, you can enter into the Jellyfish Club, which means infinite water and food for life. So the latter half of the islands, besides Serpent Great Island and Heathleys Island, are actually pretty decently livable. So, yeah, that's the other half of this video. And about all the other islands. Bye-bye.